But we're here to discuss AI, and the format that I do is like this. We look at the news, we discuss these news, and we also are practical. So we want to see everything in real life, how it is. And that's the difference between other talks like this, maybe. So here's our May 12 agenda. And another thing is that I didn't prepare completely what I promised. I promised DALL-E and look at GTP generated code. These were the questions that you guys asked, but I unfortunately didn't do it. However, I did do enough. And I looked at an interesting thing from Databricks. So that's here. Plus, we can show other things. Also, I'm on another computer. I hope you hear me well, even though it's not a Mac. All right. So hello, everybody, and let us start. And what we will start with is maybe we should look at this breakthrough potential of AI, because that just happened. Of course, I'm only showing things that just happened, but that was in the proper place. Maybe I'll do this. I will not share this out. That's okay. But and I'm not going to show this presentation at all. But I will mention the major things because the audience here was real. That's an audience of all the people in MIT, yeah, that are part of ChatGPT inspired companies. They are not from ChatGPT, but they are running other startups that are based on ChatGPT. And there were 900 of them, and they were very direct and very informal. That is what makes the presentation nice. But the fact that I got from this presentation is Sam Altman talking here. And he said that the statistics is that people don't retrain, they don't additionally train ChatGPT. Well, first of all, when you were talking about additional training for ChatGPT, that's really called fine-tuning. They have redefined the term fine-tuning altogether. Their fine-tuning is just to save a little bit of money. It's not to give the model any new capabilities. A real fine-tuning is add the data and retrain on this data, and that's real training. You get the model as big as it is, it's gigabytes, and who knows how many gigabytes, and you keep changing the weights on this model. That is not what ChatGPT is doing in general, because if you look for ChatGPT tuning, let's look for ChatGPT fine-tuning. It even starts with saying it's not real fine-tuning. Okay, I agree, it's not, it is not, but let's look at where it is described. This is where it is described, and it honestly says that it is to give you more examples. So essentially you're saying, you know all that you know, but I'm giving you a few prompts on how to answer a specific question. So it's like taking a great writer and then saying your interview is scripted and answer only that when the questions are related. Okay, so it's not a real fine-tuning after all, but they are discovering even more. They're discovering that very few developers doing even that kind of limited training. Instead, they tell us that the architecture is like this. You use ChatGPT as is. Don't try to dumb it down or smarten it up, but instead you're asking it questions. As far as additional information, you get it yourself. So, for example, you want some information on a specific document, well, open this document and give it to ChatGPT. That was an interesting thing that I heard, and you are welcome, of course, to hear everything else. I'll close that. And another side of things is Dolly from Databricks. So that one I will show as more or less as slides. I almost finished formatting them. But these are two different things. So Sam Altman is talking about a specific product. And Dolly is about a model. So there's a big difference. This product had billions of dollars of training in that. And this show, Breakthrough Potential AI, they ask me, so, you know, your model is pretty expensive, maybe $100 million, maybe 500. And Sam says, no, it's more than that. Immediately they ask, so how much? And he says, we're not telling. But it sounds like $1 billion or $2 billion of dollars. So let's put 1-2 billion. That explains a lot of things. So let us say you're a competitor. Well, you're out because you cannot spend that much money to train. Let's say you're a very big competitor, you're Facebook, you're Google. Well, first you need to decide that you're going to risk your $1 billion or $2 billion to come up maybe with something that doesn't work, or maybe with something that is not as great as ChatGPT. And if so, maybe you don't risk it. So it sounds like Google took the decision to, yes, risk. They surely have $1 billion or $2 billion around. And just today, my wife sent me that they are going to, no, not that. I probably, okay, let's not talk about this because I removed it speculative, but Google is going to release a competing model. It also has LM in it. It's called PALM, PLULM, and that's trained properly. But the other people are just coming up with models. So the major justification is that, you know, it would be fun to have an open source model that you don't have to pay for. But I think I don't have to explain why it is so weak. And by the way, you're looking at this, some of you have the link and you logged in. So I'll be happy to give you all that link. I'm putting it on the chat here. And I'm sending this link so you can open it here. And I also really want to allow everybody to chat back, and everybody should talk to everybody. So here you are, you can chat to anybody now. And you can also enter your chat. So I will show you what they have to say about this Dolly. But in general, Dolly is another model, and there are quite a few of these models. I have collected the whole list of them. And if I do get to teach anything that's related to ChatGPT, that won't come in. But if I just chat about or teach about open models, that probably will come in. And the reason that is such an important distinction, because you would think, who cares altogether? Why is it important? It is because I'm dealing with one of the big companies, I'm teaching them, and they say, you know, that is such a hot political issue that you're not allowed to mention the name of ChatGPT. You're not allowed to mention OpenAI. You're only allowed to talk about moral and ethical considerations. So my friend said, what? You are not allowed to say that there is an elephant under the room, right? Yes, at that particular company, they only do it internally. They took all of that discussion internally because of a potential political fallout, right? Okay, now we understand how hot it is, and we'll be back to this. So there are two worlds now. There is the world of ChatGPT, and there is the world of open models. There is also the third world. There is the world of big proprietary models, and that is where Google Palm, for example, is, or Facebook is. But with even the first announcement, Google is not releasing the model as yet. And that's today. So ChatGPT was burning all around the world for many, many months. And even today, Google has not released that yet. Well, I'm sure they will come up to the right solution. And they ask Sam here, they ask him, so what about Google? He says, if Google didn't, if they were not working on this, then indeed it would be very dangerous if you change the search and everybody searches. He didn't say that, but I'm just continuing. And everybody searches on Microsoft, then that would be the end of Google. But of course, they are working on a new search, and the BBC announced what kind of new search it will be. Okay, so you can all talk. You're very welcome. I gave everybody the capability to ask questions, and I gave everybody a way to chat, right? And somebody already chatted something. Let's open that chat. And that was probably my question. You have not looked for that because you were looking for new business, and I understand that. I'll keep the chat out, so whenever you say something or chat something, I will see it. Okay, after that, I'll really show you more substance. Enough talk. This is what I prepared. Now, usually I make slides out of that. Obviously, it's not finished, but it is something that we can talk about, and that's good enough. So here they are going to explain their large model, LLM, and I didn't even have the time to change the slide names, but it is LLM, large language models, that are all the popular terms around. So many companies, the premise of Databricks is struggling with all kinds of LLM. And here we are. We give you, say, Databricks, and Databricks are the makers of Spark, and that's one of the big data tools. We give you our own LLM. What is LLM? That is what is smart, and that's ChatGPT. What does it do? Answers your questions. Which open LLMs are there? That is Llama. It all started with Facebook Llama. But they said, the people at Databricks, so why don't we do our own, right? So anybody who wants another one will have it here. Of course, to me, it's kids talk. You have a trained, awesome model, and everybody in the world is using it. And now Databricks comes with their model, with the idea that if you want to run a model, why don't you run this one? That is also a weak proposal, just because you don't have to use this. They say you don't have to use this model. You can use any other model. So it's a search engine optimization, and you can go, and it's under Bricks. Why would you want that done? Well, the answer is because, look, we are Databricks. We are a hub. You can run there. I'll show you later on how is that possible. You can run on our hardware. right? And you can integrate with all other kinds of processing. So they come into all kinds of processing, and here it is. The end result is that if you use all others, it doesn't quite work. And if you use us, it works perfectly. And that part is true. That is talking about that if you are Databricks, then you give people pipelines and real-time APIs and support all machine learning, but especially open source. It's kind of, look, it's an interesting thing, it works. Again, I'll stop saying, but no comparison to ChatGPT. I'll continue with what exactly they do. So what they do is finding the use case for that. So let us say you have your own model. Why would you need to run it on Spark? And if you are on Spark, why would you need their model? Well, if you're on Spark, you don't have to use their model. That's fact number one. Why would you use any model when you're on Spark? What is good about Spark? Spark runs on multiple computers. I usually show pictures. That's a Linux, and I don't have a good drawing tool. But Spark runs on multiple computers, and you can scale your processing to any size, 1,000 computers. The big question is, if you scale it and run on multiple computers, then are you going to have 1,000 people talking to you like ChatGPT from 1,000 places? Obviously, that's not a use case. So what is the use case? The use case is select specific functionality that a large data model can give you and use it on multiple computers. For example, that is a use case that I actually would like to implement is, let's say you have a sea of documents and you want to quickly summarize everyone, and each summarization takes a long time. So you run it on Spark, and lo and behold, you summarize 1,000 documents. And each summary goes back into a database, and that makes sense. Okay, but except that if I'm running it on 1,000 documents, I can ask ChatGPT to summarize it. Okay, you don't have to use this particular one, you can use another one. Now, that works together with Hugging Face. Hugging Face is, of course, a hub for open and large data models. So you can combine the two. You can use Dolly on HubSpot on Hugging Face, or you can use another model from Hugging Face. But let's go here. That's if you're running Spark on the Databricks environment, selecting your model. And if you're also using Hugging Face, you can create a complete transform pipeline. So you're using one of the pre-trained models, that's the actual code, and that code is distributed to the whole cluster, and now you can do big things on the whole cluster. Okay, maybe I'm taking a very limited point of view, but it seems to me that the whole world is crazy because they pretend that they don't see ChatGPT. Like it's a great thing, but we will keep playing with toy models. The justification for this is that it's free, that it is, justification for playing with your small models, that it may be good enough. Maybe Summarize is good enough. Summarizers are tough to debug anyway, because in his speech, the other CEO of OpenAI, that's Brockman, Sam, I don't know, not Sam, Brockman. He said, to test Summarizer, you need to read the book. And who would want to do that, he said. So that didn't find favor with intellectuals. Some people would want to do that. But the idea is that summarizers are hard to debug and verify. So maybe your summarizer will be good enough. And here you are. That's exactly the result. Multiple summarizers and multiple answers to multiple questions. But again, what's good about ChatGPT is that it keeps talking to you. And here it's a one time. You ask him this and he answers that. Okay, now I think I said enough. That's how you do it with Hugging Face. And let's look at questions and then let's chat about something else. So I'm looking for a model to be run on the local machine, and GPT-4o is okay. Yes, but I heard some better news just recently that many people are porting these models to work on a phone, to work on a small environment, and I don't have a reference directly quickly, but I'll put it here into the things to do. But LLM devices. And you know what? I think I know who's doing it. It's OpenAI. If I remember correctly, it's them who are putting it on small environment. They also have output an amazing tutor. That was right here. Tutor, every person gets a tutor, and that was Khan Academy. So that's, by the way, many things are coming out of OpenAI. Okay. So that was for the small, and that will come up. Okay. And then another thing that I could show you, because you guys are not asking any specific questions, is that last time I showed you the course. So a chapter from this course. I showed you how that works. You log in and then you listen, but the course is free. So I'm not showing that right now. But I could show it in my repository, these slides. Oh, Palm maybe will work. Palm is Google model. I think it will go on the devices, which of course is a smart move, but let's do this. Let me show you. Something like prompt engineering. No. OpenAI. Prompt engineering here. So how basically you do it, because I think with the statement by Sam Altman that prompt engineering is used more and more, that you don't really retrain or fine-tune their model because it's smart enough and you can only ruin it. It's like giving a script to a very smart person. But instead, you prepare more and more the iterative development of your prompts. Then it looks like this. What you do is you start, and now from here on, it is very clear to Python developers, but I'm explaining to everybody. You start by preparing some things that would work, and now you're doing this. I'm giving you the facts. I'm saying, I'm giving you a lot of facts. That's the key. Then I'm saying, now this is what you need to do. And you use specific format to package a long piece of information into quotes. So between the quotes is the text. And again, between the quotes is the prompt, which is, I'm asking you to do this. And then it does it. But then you're saying, no, that is too long. So you're adding to your prompt one more instructions. and you are saying, no, use at most 50 words. It comes with a better short prompt. The next thing you read and you're saying, no, it's emphasizing the wrong things. So what you do then is you again change your prompt and you say, that is for furniture retailers. They don't care about the technical side, and it creates this. Then you're saying, no, it's not for that. It's additional information for the technical dealers, and by the way, present it as a table. So it presents to you as a table. But every time what you do is you change the prompt, and potentially it becomes very long. And you also change the text. So you give more and more facts, and you keep building this prompt. So that approach is what Sam Altman says is most people are using today without fine-tuning model. And that approach is the one taken by Microsoft. I showed you a few times before that that is how Microsoft do it. Here, so if we search for Microsoft, then you see Microsoft has a video and an example where it does this. ChatGPT is on its own. Your information is stored in Microsoft repositories. You conduct the dialogue. And in this dialogue, you combine your information from Microsoft repositories, which they have a funny name for that, some kind of smart search. But really, it is the modern search, not based on keywords, but based on weighted vectors that you assign to your keywords. And then you combine the two. So being that it is preferred approach by Microsoft, and Sam Altman told us that that's how people usually use it. What is the open source way to build it? Pinecone. Pinecone is a new semantic database. Trending, just got an amazing amount of millions of dollars. And that's a database that is smart, as opposed to a regular search database that is based on keywords. So it's a vector database. So you take that, you use it online, and you combine that information with GPT information, and probably that is the solution that you need. So if we go back here, our plan was to talk about Dolly, and I expressed a little doubt in the usefulness. It's kind of, yes, I can use it there, what's the use case? And about the new and interesting tidbits, because they're not very open. So I listened to get the tidbits out of there. All right, now let's look into the, can you share the link to prompt engineering? Yes. Let me give you that link again. That's a course by, so let's close what I don't need. And it was here. So that is OpenAI. No, it's not OpenAI. It's it's this course, deep learning. So let me just copy that because it keeps jumping. That's the course. Now I need to log in. Actually, I need to log in. It won't let me do anything else. Continue as me and confirm that it is me. And that is what you need. So I'm giving you that link because that was the correct link, except that it asked for login. Continue course. that's the best source. It is the source. And very nice, Andrew Ng here. Oh, and a very nice female assistant of his, but I want to just, there you go. Both of them are together here, and they explain all this chat engineering. It's a completely free course. You just need to have an account. Oh, and you're taking this presently, right? Makes sense. Great. Okay, that's the one. Now I apologize that I'll close here, right? We'll have the next week, and the next week I won't be training, so I'll be more composed. But that's for you. And by the way, I give it to a specific person. I need to give this link to everybody, right? Everyone. That's what I need to do best. So keep in mind, there is a link where everything is published. All that we do is here. And I will create a bit.ly link so that you can always get to that. And there is this course, which I think, based on the latest news, is the right thing to do and the right thing to learn. My own plan. My own plan is to put it inside of this startup that I probably showed you already. It's startup for defense lawyers who think of themselves as heroes because they defend defenseless people. And we already have some, I really need to show you the latest environment here. That's what it looks like now. That's a case. That's information on a case. I saw a movie about Winnie the Pooh, how he went bad and became a murderer. So that's why it's Piglet here. But that is a new format. And we do transcription. That's already AI. But you see, this is where files are. That is a tab for files. And this is where your notes are. So there's a lot of that AI can do. For example, it can read police reports, extract all the people from there, and do something with them, something that's specific. They become a part of the case. But there will also be Casify GPT here, and it will talk, and you will ask questions like, what's the law on that? If you're a lawyer in courtroom and don't remember this law. That's my own plan, and the way I want to implement it is anything goes, because that, after all, is a product. So maybe Microsoft, the one I showed you, maybe Pinecone. All right. Any more questions? All right. So write to me with the questions, with the ideas, and until next week. I apologize for being shorter than usual, but wishing you all the best. Thank you, John. Kiran, Vanessa, Olga. Thank you, Rajos, John, and Antonia, and Jason, and Greg. Okay, whoever says thank you, I say thank you to him. Thank you very much. Goodbye. You wanted to have a conversation between yourselves, and I didn't do it. But we have that conversation at every time. So I think that's good enough for now.